So we've had a look at some of the calibrations in EyeSkills. And these calibrations have given us concrete information about how the player's eyes and brain are working. Now, the next thing to do is to provide experiences which help at the right pace, in the right ways, the player to gradually improve their experience with using both eyes together. Simply coordinating with both eyes and then beginning to fuse with both eyes, beginning to perceive depth. Now, our goal is to simplify the process of producing such games. And the way this works is that as a game developer, you can use standard techniques in Unity and just drop in our EyeSkills camera. And that camera gets automatically configured with all of the values from the calibration scenes. So we're now going to have a look at the first of our demonstration games, which is a straightforward endless runner which we've written in Unity. We've simply clicked on a couple of boxes and said take all of the information from the calibrations into the cameras, so the cameras take into account eye misalignment and luminance and all the rest of it, and they just work. Now this game is interesting because it's designed for a slightly more advanced player. It's really just a proof of concept. And the idea is you need to avoid the obstacles which are only appearing in one eye because they'll hurt you, whilst capturing the objects that appear in both eyes. So you're needing to discriminate between monocular and binocular vision. You're needing to use the brain to coordinate both eyes, the input from both eyes, without necessarily having to fuse. And at the same time, we've added another level of difficulty, which are that some obstacles are behind the player. If the objects are behind the player, that's also bad. They'll come forward and bop him. The only way to pick up energy is to run into the obstacles which are in both eyes and at the same distance as the player. So let's take a look. Here we go. So the luminance is there. Now in the VR, you can see this is in both eyes. In the VR headset, the effect's really interesting. Here it's only, here it's in both eyes again. We get another health pickup. This is only in one eye, so we have to jump the box. It's very interesting in the VR headset that it's quite, that's behind the player. This one again is only in one eye. And it's quite interesting in the headset to sort of see the difference between something that's in one eye or in both eyes. So I'm doing quite well here. If I hit one that's only in one eye, you see, I lose energy. I've gained energy. This is in the background, it's going to hit me, bonk. This is only in one eye, it's going to hit me, bonk. This is only in one eye again, it's going to hit me, bang. One more time, I'm dead. So let's roll underneath this one. Let's roll underneath that one because it's only in one eye. That's only in one eye. Let's jump it. And it's gradually, oh, too late, I'm dead. So it's gradually speeding up, increasing the difficulty of the challenge. And the next steps in the future iterations are going to be that you enter these different challenge states. That might be to put more pressure on you with speeding up. It might be to add or remove this depth challenge depending on the results of the depth perception calibration. It might be to gradually bring the camera, which is helping the misaligned eye see the world centrally, to gradually start bringing it into the center during the 30 seconds of the challenge, so that that's actually an impetus for the brain to try to preserve that fusion or preserve that coordination and to start working on stimulating the eye muscle, which might have atrophied if they've had strabismic eye for a long time. So we can begin to introduce lots of different training challenges to improve the neurological and muscular aspects behind strabismus and amblyopia, with the goal, of course, that the player's brain starts to realize, hey, I can actually use both eyes together. I don't need to suppress. I'm not seeing a confusing double image. I mean, ultimately, to be, after many months of training, to have helped through the fusion, or through the ability to see without overlapping in both eyes, and to gradually coerce or push the eye back into the center, for the brain to become comfortable enough to keep that eye in the center, to overcome the strabismus and the amblyopia, and to see straight and to recover depth perception. The only case we can find where that might be a problem is that we don't want to teach the brain to use, I'll just go back into this so while I'm talking, we don't want to use the brain, don't want to get the brain to get used to seeing with both eyes whilst misaligned, because that means that when they take off the VR headset, they might have lost the ability to suppress one eye, and then they have double vision all the time. That would be bad. So if we find that situation, what we'll do is, in the future, we'll actually disable the ability of that person to play. For example, if they're getting really good at doing all of these, all of the fusion, but despite being able to do all the fusion, they aren't proceeding or improving in correcting their eye misalignment, it's time to stop. So that was a little look. In a future video, I'll go more into what this looks like behind the scenes, so you can see how, as a developer, you could create your own games, and what's possible. I'm suspecting it'll be probably the second or the third iteration before the framework's really stable enough and thought through enough that it's a real pleasure to use, but you'll be getting previews before then. Thanks very much.